Hey guys, JHoyt here. Before we get into today's video, this series has received so much support from you guys. It's one of my most watched series when I upload them. So thank you guys so much for that. But we're back with another one. We got episode number 28 of our franchise mode with the Detroit Red Wings. What's on, guys? JHoyt back with you. Today, welcome back to episode number 28 of our franchise mode with the Detroit Red Wings. Like I said, we are back after the first part of the year, and I think we're actually 43 games in, so we're just past the halfway point, and we're actually in a really good spot. This might be the best spot we've ever been in halfway through a year so far. So if you guys missed last episode, what are you doing? Make sure to go back and watch that and catch yourselves up. Or if you've missed any of this series, make sure you do so, because lots of people are watching this, lots of people are supporting, so I appreciate you all, like I said in the intro. But today's video, of course, is going to be the second half of the season, plus the trade deadline, and we're going to get into the start of the playoffs as we figure out who we're going to be playing and scouting them. So today's video is going to be an action-packed one. Usually front half of the season, if everything's going good, usually it's pretty short, but this is the point, though, that everything could change, hopefully for the better, right? The last 10's been really good, 7-2-1 overall, 26-14-3. So we did make a slight change to some personnel on the power play. So our power play was struggling, right? Everything else is kind of okay. We know we're pretty good in goals for, goals against. Our percentages around the rest of the stuff is good. However, our power play wasn't really the greatest. So, although it's a little unorthodox of what I did, and personally I didn't want to do this at all, but I'm going to kind of see if it works out the way I want it to. So let's go over to the edit line screen here and show you guys what I mean. So, like I said, I did change around the power play just a little bit. So yes, Barron's not up there. Zadina's not up there. Arsene's not up there. So some of these guys have switched around just a little bit. But figuring that the first line gets more of the time, just given simulation, usually that's what ends up happening, that Raymond, Raymond, Larkin, Wright, Krebs, and Gudis all fit the power play scheme the best. So we put these guys all on the first line. So if we wanted to, we could switch Larkin and Wright, but does it really matter in the end? Probably not. Just given that, you know, who knows what our power play strategy even is. And then, of course, where these guys actually line up, we don't even know. So I'd like to see that, by the way, for a future NHL video. We're going to be going through what we want for NHL 22. But in this one, we moved everyone that we could up to that first line. And, of course, it's going to look really weird on the second line. But we're going to have McIntyre, Arsene, Barron, Hannafin, and Zadina all down here. So it looks really weird. I don't like it at all, but it's, you know, gotta try something, right, to try to help out that power play. So I don't know if I'm going to keep it that way. Maybe we'll switch it, you know, differently down the road here, but our team's rocking and rolling. But let's get into today's video, right? No trades or signings or anything. Did I sign someone to or offer an extension? Maybe I did that, but I'm not exactly sure. But let's get into this run, right? We started off, what was it, like 13-3 or something in the last episode. So let's just continue with our success here in the second half of the season. Starting off strong with a win against Montreal. And, of course, we still got some of these guys on the trade block. And, you know, maybe when it comes time to it, we'll make some deals. But for now, we'll stay here and keep on this 4-game win streak. So we have the Buffalo Sabres, and we have I think it's the Canadiens ahead of us, if I remember correctly. And I'm not correct. I think it's Buffalo and Ottawa as our two teams ahead of us. Am I right in saying that? Yeah, Sabres, Senators. So Canadiens are around us. I think that's the team that I was getting a little mixed around with. But as long as we can keep getting these wins, we're actually in a pretty good spot, right? We're only 11 points behind the first place Buffalo Sabres, who actually is our next game here. So let's see what we're going to end up doing in this one. Can we take them out? Overtime loss, so we still get a point in this one. So let's fast forward up until, I guess actually that Montreal game, we got a couple of days in between, and that gives us a really good indication of how the rest of the year is going to go for us. So most likely after those games, we'll kind of see where we are, see what we can improve on, and then go see if there's anything as far as, you know, rentals or upgrades that we could possibly get. I know there's a couple, or actually there's a bunch of players that we've been keeping our eyes on as we continue on to this trade deadline. So we got to keep watch out for those players, and of course keep our team together, because we are sitting in second place right now. Let's go back to the main screen here, check out the standings, and of course check out the team stats. So Peyton Krebs, love to see it up there as our number 1 point guy right now. But we sit at 85 points, right? We're 63 games into the season, 40-18-5 in the season so far. And this is exactly what we wanted, right? We sit, like I said, only 10 points behind Buffalo. So if we can get close to them or even overtake them, I'd be super happy. But of course, we got the Senators right behind us by a couple of points. But even then, the Canadiens, right? That top 4 teams, 77 is our wild card right now. And then 70. So I feel like, can we even, I don't know if we could even lose out of this. Like, even with the wild card spots, I feel like we're almost guaranteed a playoff spot at this point. But of course, the numbers will have to play out. But let's check out our points and our stats and standings and everything and see what we need for this upcoming playoff push. So let's check out our stats here, starting, of course, with the forwards. So Krebs is leading the way. Absolutely love to see that from the young man. Not really so young anymore at 28, but Krebs leading the way, 76 points overall. Although he's been good all throughout, you know, since we've had him. He's never really been that top guy. Usually he's down there, you know, a little bit, and usually like Larkin or Zadina or even Barron's up there. But for now, he's right there at the number 1 spot. So first up, of course, we got Krebs at 76 points, Larkin at 72 with 30 goals, Zadina with 30 goals as well, also at that 70-point mark. Wright's up there, 68 points overall. Barron at 63, Raymond at 62, McIntyre at 53, Arsene down just a little bit at 49. But for basically our top 6, all to be point per game, obviously we're doing something right. So we'll keep going down here. So McIntyre and Arsene, obviously those guys, power play and everything. Norris down there as well. Not really the points guy right now, but still he's kind of holding it strong, right? He's that two-way guy that competes in the rest of it there. But fourth line doing exactly kind of what we need them to. Obviously a little bit better plus minus would be great, but I'm not really worried, right? Rice, still not sure, but 19 points, going to be probably 20 points at least at the end of the season here. I'll definitely take that. Kupari as well. He's up for an extension here, and I might just give it to him at $1.5 million. But we'll see, of course, once it gets later on here. But on the back end, right, after putting Gudas up on that number 1 power play, there's not much improvement. He's still not getting the points that I want him to get. You know, especially as is he 85 now? 84 overall, offensive defenseman. I'd be expecting way more from him. So, not sure what we're going to do with him just yet. Obviously, this is his first year in the NHL, so we still got time with him. Obviously, I'm not just going to get rid of him or anything, but, you know, we got to, you know, see how that progresses, because there's a lot of players that are behind him. So, might need to watch that out, especially when we need to have a player that's quarterbacking our power play, you know, super well. But back to our goaltenders, though. Reza and Zanetti holding it down. Reza's up for a contract as well. And I don't want to be really stupid with his contract, because Zanetti is basically the same overall as him. And I think we have 2 more years with Zanetti after this current contract. I believe he did sign that. But, of course, we'll have to make sure. But those are pretty solid numbers. I mean, yes, I'd love the goals against and the save percentage to be better. But given that, you know, there's a lot more scoring on these simulation games now, that those stats are going to look a little bit worse, although they're pretty good. So when you compare those to the rest of the league, I would guess those would be pretty similar. When you look at the entire league in all, we are number 2 right now in the entire league, which is absolutely super, like, happy in my heart that we are number 2. So I said it before, but 63 games in, 85 points, 40, 18, and 5 overall. And let's get, of course, to these goals for. So we're number 3 overall in goals for. Goals against, we are within the bottom, what's that, like 10 or so. So I'll take that, right? We're doing a lot better than what we should be doing. So number 2, where are we? So power play before was like 20 or something %, and it went up to 24. So that's obviously an improvement. So I'm gonna stick with what we have so far. Penalty kill 81%, number 2 in the league. Will gladly accept that. And then, of course, will be our numbers here. So 22, 9, and 2 at home, 18, 9, and 3 away. Last 10 of 6, 2, and 2. So as we approach the trade deadline here in a day or two, we're going to have to do some work, see if we can get in some rentals, and see what we need to beef up for this playoff run. So we are here with our first trade. Technically, it's our second, so the first one wasn't that interesting. So we end up trading away 2 kind of older, younger-ish AHL players for a backup goaltender, and we got him on our squad. So he's coming from, not Detroit, he's coming from Dallas, and he was actually performing really well as their backup, but their starter sucked. So we got a really good backup that was leading the league in save percentage and goals against when their team sucked. So that must be something. So we got him on our squad, but our second trade here, and I don't actually know if it's going to go through just yet, but we're heading over to Nashville, and as you can tell over there, they are not in a good spot. So these guys have Nikita Gusev up on their, I think it's on their trade block. It may just be, willing to get rid of, but good left, right winger, doesn't really matter. And he can also, looks like it take face-offs as well. But he fits in a lot of different lines here. But the big thing that I'm covering underneath me is all power play lines. So it's going to help out with the power play as well. Not sure where he's going to fit just yet. But hopefully he'll slide in down there on that 4th line for now. Just given that our top 9 is just absolutely insane. But maybe like Verhaeghe will come out. Not exactly sure just yet. But Gusev comes in as well as Ekman Larson, a player that we've been watching for a while. Now, yes, he's most likely going to retire at the end of this year or probably next year. But both these players are going to be rentals. And in this one, we're not giving up much. So we have Kovanov, who we signed at the start of the year. We were going to put him back into the lineup in the AHL. Get him some playing time and, see how he could help us down the stretch. But in this case, we're going to be getting rid of him, getting something a little bit better, as well as another AHL right defensive prospect that was not playing but is getting older. And, we want to bring in the youth that's growing at a better rate, as well as our one of our goaltender prospects, I guess you'd call him, our 57, 18-year-old. But as you can see, the rest of our goaltenders are performing super well. That's actually not even all of them, that's just the rookies. But we are kind of stacked with goaltenders right now. So we don't need another one, so might as well send him away and get some rentals in the meantime. So we are going to be getting a little bit of salary back with this, but we do have the space for it. So hopefully if there's any more trades, we won't have to deal too much with salary. But of course, if we need to, then we will. But let's go see if this one goes through. First try, no other picks or anything involved. So let's get these guys in the lineup, send them to where they have to be, and see if there's anything else we want to get. So our next trade is not going to look like much on paper, but it's going to help us out in the future as well. So unfortunately, we'd have to get rid of Wallander in this situation, who I don't really want to get rid of, but especially given the amount of talent we have on our roster, that he just doesn't really fit. And, he, like I said, he is performing, but we need someone that's going to be growing a little bit better. Plus, 26 years old, he's probably going to top out at 83 overall. So we need someone that can do a little bit better than that. So this one, we're going to get rid of him, as well as Manson, who we got in a previous deal when I mentioned the 2 AHL prospects. We also got Manson in this one just to make the numbers work out. So we got the backup goaltender in Josh Manson, as well as in this deal, we're going to be trading him away to the Florida Panthers for Heinonen. I gotta stop getting players that I don't know how to pronounce their names, but 78 overall, 18 years old, top 4 medium potential defensive defenseman, former first round pick, and he's not even playing this year. So we're excited to get him if we do end up getting him, as well as Clefbaum, who's like 81 overall, playing like the third line, not really doing too much of anything, but just to get another NHL defenseman back in this deal. So we're adding a couple of picks in there as well. So will this one go through how it is? Just a touch. So maybe just like a 4th and a 5th round pick here, especially given that we're probably going to have really late picks here. But maybe we just throw a 7th in there as well. Can we just do that instead of throwing in a 5th? So that will work. So that is perfect. So we got our new guy, right? We solve an offseason problem with Wallander, and we get another NHL player for this upcoming run. So it looks like we've gotten a little bit worse, but we also are looking out for our future. Our next trade is going to be over here to the West Coast with Vancouver. So looking back at our team, we didn't really get a individually overall skilled player in all this, right? We prepared for the future, got a couple of pieces here and there, got some depth, but then we traded away an 83 overall, and we didn't really make up for that enough, in my opinion. So in this one, we're going to be trading Clefbaum, who we just got in one of the deals here, in a first round, our first round pick from this year, and Vegas's second from this year. So we'll have Boston's first, and then we'll have a 3rd round pick. But we're going to try to get a 2nd round pick from Vancouver. Most likely that won't go through. We'll try to get a 3rd or maybe a 4th. But let's just offer this to see what happens. And yeah, kind of figured that one out. So let's try this again with a little bit of a different approach. Let's throw Clefbaum and Ekman-Larsson in this trade, along with that 1st and 2nd round pick, with no salary retained for Morgan Rielly. Will this one go through? It looks a heck of a lot better than before, but still no. Finally, we get to go through. So we had Clefbaum, Ekman-Larsson, this year's 1st round pick from us, 2nd round pick from next year, which I think was like Carolinas or something, and then a 4th round pick over to Vancouver for Morgan Rielly. So although we did do a lot to get those 2 players, we're going to get Rielly back and put him in the lineup. Plus, if he doesn't fit with what we want to do next year, we can always trade him and try to get back some pieces, some draft picks and or prospects, for our troubles, if you will. So let's go fix the lineups and see what else we need, and let's get on with the rest of the playoff push. After the trade deadline, and well, technically we're still before, but after what we're going to be doing for the trade deadline, we are officially done with all of our moves. So I have a whole list here of all the players out and all the players in. So out, we had Svechnikov, Warren, both AHL players, Manson, who we got in a trade but then sent back out as well. Clefbaum, same thing, we got him in, sent him back out. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, we got him in, send him right back out. And Griffith, who was an AHL prospect, left defenseman. In, we had Lennox, who's going to be our backup, a backup goaltender. Gusev, who's on our 4th line, fitting in a couple different places. Heinonen, or probably butchered that again, but a good left-handed prospect defenseman. Morgan Rielly, who fits in on our 2nd line defensive pair. And we made a minor trade, Griffith, who we traded to, I don't remember what team, but for Jonas Brodin, who was a 1-for-1 with a 7th round pick attached to it from our side. So finally, trade deadline, we made lots of moves, and I'm really excited to get this playoff push going. So let's simulate past the trade deadline officially and get on with this playoff push. So after all of the moves are done, let's move me back up to the top here and simulate through the playoff run here. And we'll stop at a few weeks at a time here, just so we can kind of maintain and understand what's going to happen here. So like I said, injuries are back on. So let's keep it going. Unfortunately, we couldn't call anybody up, so we had to put in Brodin as our HL goaltender. Starting goaltender has gotten injured. Let's keep this going strong. We said 93 points overall, and the Sabres have clinched at 108. So that's going to have to be something we watch as we continue on here. But Senators have actually caught up and passed us as we continue on with our push here. So let's go another week and see when we can clinch this and get into the playoffs. I think this is going to be our best year ever if it keeps going like this. But of course, my eyes are in the bottom right, watching those standings just to confirm that we'll be in here. I wish it would just stay on us. That'd be pretty good. I think there it is. There we go. 98 points secures us a playoff push. Even if we didn't secure it with that, the wild card, it looks like, would have been ours as well, as we take a look at the Pacific Division. But the wild card is what I'm looking for from the East here. I think both of ours are in our division. Yeah, so 84 points was the lowest. So we had a while just to make it in. But since we know we're in, and since we know we are good, let's continue this one and finish this one off strong here. So I guess we'll just best lines the AHL for now. But I'm super glad that we made it in, right? We made it in more convincing fashion this year. And we are slowly figuring out what it's going to take to make this team the best team we've ever had. Also, I think that one's a first as well. 50 wins on the season, but of course we had a couple of games left here. We beat Buffalo the last 2 times, which was really interesting. So a final total of 53, 23, and 6. An absolute massive year from the boys in pink, or I guess you consider it pink, but maybe it's the Red Wings. But hey, either way, it looks pink in the picture. But let's go take a look at what our team did this year. So 112 points overall. The Sabres 1 win away from that 60 win mark. So the big question, the Boston Bruins, 81 points. And although we do have a team with 56 points, how good did they do throughout? So they should be definitely a top 10 pick. And, hopefully it'll be a top 5, hopefully a top 3, because I know there is some good players waiting to be drafted. But let's check out our player stats, the team stats, and then of course see who we're going to be facing off in the first round. An absolute incredible career year for Peyton Krebs from our first line. Shane Wright from that second line, his huge year. Larkin 1 goal away from 40. We will take that. Of course, we'll have to watch Larkin's future here as well, just to kind of maintain what we want to do with this squad. But hey, he's leading the way for now, and we're going to keep him here. Raymond with another point per game season. Zadina as well. I really wish we'd only signed him to a 1-year deal so we could figure out his next contract. But either way, Barron with a big year. Not really a big year, but coming off from what he came off from, that 91-point year. He's going into another contract year this year. So that's going to have to be something we do later on here. McIntyre with a 40-goal year. I think that probably takes the cake for the number 1 goal scorer on our team. 1 above Larkin, a few above Raymond, Zadina, and Barron. So that's our third line right wing, by the way. 84 overall now. Gusev, who we got late in the season, but what'd he do for us when he was with us? 7 points in 19 games. Not bad playing from that fourth line. Norris with 37 points. Reese and Kupari. We end up having to send Verhage down, but he had like 14 points or something like that. So a fourth line I'd definitely love to have again, as they filled in the role perfectly and, provided a little bit of points, but also held down that fourth line as we continued on with the season. But Hannafin, once again, as our top defenseman of the year, putting exactly what we got him for the last 4 years. 50 plus points, and this year he hit 60. So very happy with that. Riley as well put up some good points. I believe it was 7 again. Maybe we'll have to put him on the power play. Maybe we'll have to trade him. Not exactly sure quite yet. But man, Ekblad in there as well. Gudis, I still want more points from him. So we'll have to see what we do with this offseason. But definitely an improvement. But Reza Zanetti did exactly what I wanted them to do. Unfortunately, Lennox didn't get any playing time down the stretch there. But 2 players we definitely want back. Hopefully we can get them as a really good tandem and see how that progresses as we move on. But a quick look through our AHL team here in Grand Rapids. Jason Ho, a massive year. Unfortunately, he got injured down the stretch, but hey, he had a massive year. He was by far the best player down there. He was top player all year long, definitely more than a point per game all year long. Back to our defensive side, though, Marlowe, Renat, Glenn Cross, and Corrado are top 4 from down there. And, of course, Heinonen and Bowie recently came into the lineup, so can't really judge them too much. But if you look at our goaltenders, every year it seems like all of our AHL goalies perform exceptionally well, right? An 80 overall, I think he's like a 75, 76 overall, and another 76 overall. And this is always the hard part, is we always have 3 really good goaltenders and nowhere to put them, because we have Reza, we have Zanetti up there. So an incredible run from our AHL team. I believe they're going to be in the playoffs as well. Yep, 52, 15, and 6. So definitely going to be seeing them there. But let's go check out our team stats and see how well we did. So we end up finishing 2nd overall in the entire league, only behind the Buffalo Sabres, who seem to just get better and stay good every single year. But number 2 overall is definitely not too shabby. But we're number 2, so let's keep watching here. So goals for, number 2 behind Buffalo. We will take that. Goals against, 273. I definitely don't think it's 1st or 2nd, but it's definitely not far away as the bottom or top 5, depending on how you want to look at it. But we will take that. Our power play, 25.1%. That looks to be in the top probably half of the league. But, of course, I want that to be a little bit better. But what about penalty kill percentage down the stretch? We are number 2 overall, 81%, only behind the LA Kings. And, of course, let's take a look at our last 10 and our home and away records. Home, 28, 11, and 2. Away, 25, 12, and 4. Last 10, 9, and 1. So we've been cruising along as the season went. I believe this is going to be our best season ever. But, of course, it's all for nothing if we don't make it to the playoffs here and make a good run here. So who are we going to play in the first round of the playoffs? Hopefully it's a not-so-good team. And, of course, our owner's upset. The Ottawa Senators. I know they're a good team, unfortunately. But let's go take a look at what these guys did this year. So taking a look once again at these guys, they have a very similar roster to last year. So Agostino and Stutzel on their first line. Volkov on their first line, which is a very interesting pick. I'm wondering if there's an injury. Yeah, because they just got him not too long ago. So very interesting that he's there. Brown and Boquist on that second line. Semenov on that third line. Sikora on that fourth line with Brown. A very interesting makeup of a team. I wonder if there's any injuries, but we'll check on the back end. So similar looking roster. So they don't have Shabbat anymore, but they have Byram, who didn't really do too much this year. So we were looking at getting him as well. But Brandstrom seems to be their guy, but they also got Dobson down there as well. But then a trio of 79 or 80 overall defensemen. But who do they have in net? A 75. There's got to be an injury. Okay. But not in. So Shabbat's injured, which, okay, that makes sense. Obviously, don't know how long he's out for. But obviously, their best guy. Semin, who was one of their good forwards. Vero, who I think we traded for somebody on our team. I think was that the McIntyre trade? I'm not exactly sure, but there's no way a 75 overall goaltender, and they did, and he did. How does a 75 overall goaltender go 37-19 in the NHL? Right? He's had okay. When did he join? When did he go pro? So he had was this one of our draft picks? No, it's not. I almost looked at one of our draft picks for a second. But he joined the league after putting up some production in the Liga. Had a great opening year. Went up to the NHL, sucked. goes back down to Belleville, has a great year, then has a great year in the NHL? What? Then they have a 70 overall backup goalie? This is incredible. I just don't understand how a team could be that good when they have such crap goaltenders. But either way, their last 10, though, hasn't been great. So I'm excited. I'm ready for the playoffs. We're starting at home. But, of course, that will all be in next episode. But that's going to be it for today's video. A great episode with a lot of moves at the deadline. But it all worked out for us in the end as we made it into the final, or not the finals, the Stanley Cup playoffs once again, and we are in at number 2 overall in the entire league. But of course, we don't have a easy matchup in the first round as we're facing off against the Ottawa Senators. But a very good run from us this year. Let's continue it, though, in the playoffs in next episode. But I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button down below if you haven't yet. Or if you're brand new here, make sure to subscribe. Turn those post notifications on so you never miss an upload. And don't forget, you can always change your mind later. Well, all that being said, guys, we'll see you in the next one.